Guess so. Hello.
It's showtime.
OMG. I'm so glad to be back. Oh, we have the same color on. Wow, I just realized
A
that.
little
Literally.
dark blue. You feel
Yeah.
me?
Why is the name tag covering up my stuff? That sucks.
Nobody wants to see that.
Okay, well. Welcome back to another episode of Cultivating Conversations with DP Square.
You know what time it is.
I am your host, Deja, along with my amazingly talented co-host,
DeAndre, come on. Y'all know who it is.
And we just appreciate everybody for tuning in live. For
Indeed.
those who will tune in after the fact, just everything, the greatest podcast in all of the DMV is back.
Talk about
Okay, we are back. Real quick though, quick checking because I know we didn't have a pod last week. So how have you been?
I've been good. Nice little break. We back together in person. It feels good to be back on the pod.
Yes.
What I will say is though, this cold weather getting to me. This cold weather
Same.
Starting to get gloomy outside. I don't know if I like it yet.
Yeah, that's ruining my mood. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, it's starting to get a little. I don't know.
Yeah.
What about you though?
I'm good. Let's see. Any check? Any? Really, just school. I mean, I feel like I say that every time we get on the pod. I literally do.
You do.
But I've been good though. We hung out with our god siblings yesterday. That was so fun. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, just been chilling though. Excited for the series that we are starting today.
Man.
Hey, Auntie Dana. So excited because today is our first episode of R.I.C.E. University. Mm-hmm. And for those who don't know, the OGs know.
The beloved series.
The OGs, yes. R.I.C.E. University comes from our nonprofit, Reach Inside, Cultivate Everyone. But it's like a series where we want to educate people on different topics, have guests on to talk about the topic that is at hand, and just want to like educate people, share thoughts, share opinions, kind of like our normal pods, but like just an extra layer of that. If that makes sense.
And, adding on the extra guest to kind of explain, what this one is about. This series is health class.
Yes.
So we going through
health class.
Each episode, we're gonna learn something new. We're gonna hopefully get some feedback from the people that kind of push the conversation a little further. So
yes,
R.I.C.E. University be the ones though. Y'all gotta check out them old ones.
I know we've had some great episodes, but let's not delay it any longer. Our next guest to kick off R.I.C.E. University, I have personally known for 27 years. I just want to say, okay. But no, our amazing first cousin Brandon is going to be talking about. I'm gonna bring up him in a second.
Yeah.
But we want to talk about diabetes this episode because I don't know, we've never discussed that.
No, never.
And like I know it's huge in the United States, and it's just something that I wanted to learn more about. And so we are going to get into that right now. So let's bring him up, y'all.
Let's bring him up.
Okay.
Bring him to the stage. There you go.
What's up?
There you go. Hey, Brandon.
There you go. What's up? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. Oh my goodness. I mean, we are so excited to have you today to share. Well, first, just thank you for being open to just sharing your story, sharing and educating other people about it too. So I'm really excited, and I appreciate you for taking some time out for your little cousin. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
But real quick, well, not real quick. I first wanted to ask you, could you give us like a little backstory of how you first found out that you were like you had diabetes and you were diabetic, or just how was that like first instance for you?
Yeah. So I was 9. This was like late June, early July. I hadn't been feeling well for a little while. Just felt really off. The key thing that really alerted my mom that something was up. I was at summer camp and got really dehydrated and like ended up throwing up. And so I didn't feel well the rest of the day. She had to come get me, and like over the course of like the next week or so, like when people would see me, they would say, oh, Brandon doesn't look too good. Independence Day, me and my mom, we were at Auntie Lisa and Auntie Shirley's house, and both of them made comments that it looked like I was losing weight. Now, at 9 years old, I only weigh but so much. So
yeah.
and, to say that I'm losing weight, really concerned my mom. So I think that was a Saturday. So, after church on Sunday, she said, she was going to take me to the doctor. Well, we got to church. I did not feel good. Like she, this was before, the church was remodeled and everything, ladies' bathroom, had that little, like sitting room. So like, I just napped in there and, she took me home, had breakfast, she took me to Kaiser and, they ran some tests, checked my blood sugar, and it was like 900 something.
But what does that mean? What is it supposed to be?
For non-diabetics, it's supposed to be between 65 and 80.
Oh wow. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So and I know, like, for me, I'm not that educated about it, but I know there's like type 1 and type 2 diabetes. So you have like type 1 diabetes, right?
That's right. Yep.
So what's the like the difference, if you know, but like what's the difference between those two?
Yeah. So I'll start with type 2 because when people think of diabetes, that's what they think of most. Type 2 diabetics usually present as overweight or obese, but not always. And because of that, their bodies, there's an organ in the body called the pancreas, and that produces insulin. And for type 2 diabetics, their pancreas either doesn't produce as much insulin, or their body becomes insulin resistant.
Oh, like it doesn't want it, you're saying? Okay.
Exactly. So for type 2 diabetics, usually they have to take medicine that helps their body absorb insulin. One of the big ones is Ozempic, which you may or may not have heard of.
Yeah, these Ozempic warriors.
Yeah. But, the crazy thing is that is supposed to be, for treating type 2 diabetes. Like, it's not primarily supposed to be for weight loss. And, right now, because, a lot of people are using it for weight loss, there's actually a shortage. And so a lot of type 2 diabetics are having trouble getting access to the medicine that they need.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. And so with you, then it's more so the body, like is it a genetic thing, or is it like it just can happen to anybody?
It's not genetic, although people that have diabetes, that have children, their children have an increased risk of getting diabetes, like in particular with type 1 diabetes. As I mentioned, I'm a type 1 diabetic. And so the way type 1 differs from type 2 is that the cells in my pancreas that produce insulin, my immune system started attacking and destroying those cells.
Okay. Got you.
So my pancreas produces no insulin at all. Wow. And the way I treat it is that I have to take insulin. For type 1 diabetics, that's pretty much the only way to treat it.
Okay. And then it's like let me go back for a second. This episode was titled A Lifelong Journey because, I know that, and I know you posted this on your Instagram, but I know that there are certain like research coming out where people do want to be able to find a way so people don't have diabetes for the rest of their life. But in general, like, this is something that you will have to experience for the rest of your life, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I saw also too about the type 1 and type 2 is that only 2 million people in America have type 1. So it's a lot less common than type 2.
Yep. Sure is.
That's interesting. Okay. And so how did that affect your childhood? Like, I'm thinking about this more so because I'm really just genuinely curious. Like, did it stop you from being in certain physical activities, or were you able to just do whatever, or did it affect you? Like, were you annoyed that you had to do things that other kids didn't have to do? How was that for you just growing up, like knowing that you had to now,
Yeah. So, going from, like being able to eat pretty much whatever I want, how much of whatever I want, to now, being like, okay, some things, I, need to stay away from, or I need to eat less of, you know, as a kid, you're like, well, why do I have to do this?
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
other kids don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, I will say, you know, I definitely gave my mom a hard time, like as a kid, because I will say until I hit like my late teens, like I was really bad about, you know, being consistent with being on top of my diabetes and, you know, not eating things that I probably shouldn't have been eating or drinking for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think about that. So is it because, so do you have to watch what you're eating because it makes your blood pressure go up too high? Is that what it is? I'm trying to figure out how it works.
Yeah.
Like certain
So
things.
it's my blood sugar that
Blood sugar, sorry,
yeah,
not blood pressure. Yeah.
it's my blood sugar that gets elevated.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you know, a lot of foods have carbohydrates.
Yeah.
And that's what I have to watch. Now, of course, you know, sugar is a big part of it too. But it's the carbohydrates that is what's going to elevate my blood sugar. So the way I manage it is, you know, I have to check my blood sugar, and I have to basically calculate the number of carbs I'm eating at once, and then, you know, give myself insulin based on the amount of carbs I'm taking in. Now, that sounds very simple,
Yeah.
but different foods interact with my blood sugar in very different ways. I typically stay away from like white bread or, you know, basically grains that aren't whole grains. Even though, you know, like white bread and wheat bread, they have the same number of carbs because of their chemical structure. When the body breaks down white bread and wheat bread, it breaks it down into glucose. The chemical compounds in both types of bread, white bread, it spikes my blood sugar.
That makes sense. Wow, that's very intricate. Like that's a lot to it gets real specific, like with everything. You were gonna say something?
I wanted to ask something on a little deeper level. Like when you were younger growing up, did you ever feel any social judgment or like felt ashamed of your, you know, diabetic?
Sometimes in school, but you know, kids are kids.
Yeah.
So, you know, like for a few years, definitely, yes. It really wasn't until I like really got to high school where I was like, well, you know, like this is what I have to do. You know, I'm just gonna own it, you know, because you know, this is what I have to live with. And you know, like I can't control it. There's no point in being ashamed.
Yeah. That's true. Oh, my mom said you gotta have discipline. I know that's hard as a kid. Oh, like with the diet and stuff. Yeah.
I saw something though online, you know, preparing, and they said that you're twice as likely to have depression if you're a type 1 or type 2 diabetic. So I mean, I know that you know a lot of, you know, issues that arise with oneself, you know, then you can, you know, have, you know, problems with, you know, just maybe being not ashamed, but just worried or self-conscious about it. So I can see why that, you know, that might be twice as likely because, you know, being indifferent is hard.
It is, especially because I think for me, or sometimes I think like being older and having more knowledge and Google and all that stuff, I feel that it's like you know more things. But I could just only imagine being like growing up when we were growing up and like Brandon having to just like deal with something that's normal to him, but other people being like, what is that? Or like, what are you doing? Or I'm just kind of confused what's happening. It's just interesting to me because I don't know. I just think that it would be like such a long journey of just trying to figure it out and learn what you need to do in order to like survive, essentially.
True.
But were there any? Well, not were there any. First of all, we're not a political podcast, but we do dibble and dab into politics.
Yeah.
I do want to add. I know a huge piece of our American system is the healthcare system, which we know is in a lot of cases. So just growing up for you, or even now, or young adulthood, whatever, the price of the price of insulin is like very expensive, especially when people don't have like health insurance or whatever. So and then people not even caring to bring the price down. The people, I guess, like the actual companies and stuff. So how was that for you? Just, I'm sure you were so many days of frustration, but how was that, like, just fighting from a financial standpoint?
Yeah. So for, when I was living at home and I was on my mom's insurance, as far as I'm aware, now she can chime in, I'm kidding. She's not talking to me about, the financial burden
Right.
having to pay for all this stuff.
Right.
But as far as I'm aware, I don't think it was a big deal. At least, I never had to go without.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So, and I mean, she works for DC government. So, she's got that good insurance.
That good government.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, as I got older and I had to move off of my mom's insurance, that's when things got really interesting. First of all, I'm just going to say American healthcare system is ghetto. That's number one.
Facts. Facts. I feel that a little bit even now, just trying to, but anyway, continue.
Yeah. So, I had to find a doctor that specializes in diabetes. They're called endocrinologists when I moved off of my mom's insurance. And the first thing I learned was that, you have to provide them with your medical records, which makes sense. But the reason is because you basically have to prove you're a diabetic.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Like, you have to prove you're a diabetic. And what messed me up was Kaiser would not release my medical records to me because I was no longer a patient of Kaiser.
That's crazy. That's such a finesse. Like, wow. Even though it's your medical records, let's be clear. They're your record. It's your medical history. Just because they're the ones who might have kept the data doesn't mean it's not you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
So that's crazy. Oh, wait, real quick. Your mom said insurance was a big help. Don't know how we would have made it without insurance. So yeah. So in that transition, then, so when you had to figure it out on your own, so so it was like a major adjustment, right? Just trying to figure out. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I didn't have a doctor. Oh geez, probably for close to 4 years. Yeah.
So do you have to, like, so what do you mean? You have to, like, pay for it out of pocket, or you're saying?
No. So, like, I had insurance, but I literally just could not see a doctor because I didn't have my medical records. When I was home for, I want to say it was Christmas one year. And like, I told my mom, like, hey, like, like Kaiser just, like, they won't give me my medical records. Like, I keep calling, like, I submit forms and stuff. Like, they just won't release it. My mom had to get on the phone.
That's when it's getting serious.
Yeah. Like, my mom had to get on the phone. I got my medical records. Like, I got them after she got on the phone with them.
Period. Yeah. Okay.
And I don't know. I know, insurance and stuff. But I did want to bring up for, like people that do use insulin, if the vials only cost $2 to $4 to make, but they sell them for upwards $200 to $50. The same vials.
That's insane.
And that's stuff that people need to survive.
Like
literally.
You want to know the really crazy part?
Yeah.
The vial is supposed to be a quote unquote 30-day supply.
What do you mean by that?
Like, it can last for 30 days, right?
Oh.
Yeah, like, you're only, so technically once you open a vial of insulin, you're only supposed to use that for 30 days. I go pick up, my insulin stuff from the pharmacy, the pharmacist will be like, make sure you dispose of it after 30 days. Yeah, right. But yeah, it's technically only supposed to be for 30 days. So, so, you've got, and there's different types of insulin, like there's short acting insulin. There's also long acting insulin. So, if you're using a combination of short and long acting, think about that. That's basically sometimes $500 a month if you don't have insurance.
Wow.
That's insane for something that you literally need, like literally. Have you, I wanted to tap back into that mental piece for a second because I just feel like, okay, and this might be the outside looking in, but How do you feel? Do you feel that the United States or just whatever has done a disservice when it comes to people who are diabetic, but another layer, like Black people who are diabetic? Like, do you feel that there, and maybe not, but do you feel that there are any like health disparities when it comes to that, or maybe things you've seen in the news or whatever that you feel has been a thing? Or maybe, I know there's health disparities in other ways, like with women who want to have kids and stuff like that, but I wonder if it happens with people who have diabetes and like people of color too.
Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of people of color, aren't as financially stable as white people. And because of that, they may not have access to insurance. And so, you're thinking about, let's say you're on short acting and long acting insulin. So that's 2 vials of insulin. Then, you've also got syringes. You've got test strips for your glucometer, which is how you test your blood sugar. You're supposed to get lancets, which is it's a little needle. That's what pricks your finger when you check your blood sugar. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
That's more than enough stuff.
I mean, that's, that like generally
the diet piece too that you were saying, like people being able to afford certain foods.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in an area that's a food desert, you're not going to have, the best quality food that you should have. And, of course, that's going to impact, type 1 and type 2 diabetics, in particular type 2 diabetics, because, they're typically already unhealthy. And then, on top of that, if you don't take care of yourself as a diabetic, there are so many other health complications like blindness, heart disease, kidney failure. I mean, like the list just goes on. And, unfortunately, with the price of insulin the way it is, states have, started combating, price gouging on insulin, thankfully.
Yeah.
But, for, people of color, like, basically you're just fighting for your life.
Yeah. That's what it feels like.
True.
True. Do you feel that there are any, since your journey starting at 9 to now being 69, say 9. So no, he's still young. But seriously, has there been any strides in the health field when it comes to, like, are you happy that now there are certain things you don't have to do that you have to do when you're younger, that are like easier to get through or something when it comes to just diabetes? Or do you feel that there hasn't been much progress made?
There's been a lot of progress since I was first diagnosed.
Okay.
I talked about, having to prick your finger and do injections and everything. Well, now, I don't have to do any of that. I wear something called a Dexcom. It's a continuous glucose monitor. So like there's let me show you really quick.
Okay, visual visuals.
There is. Yeah. Okay. This thing on my arm here, this is what monitors my blood sugar. And it's connected to my phone.
Oh, that's that telehealth.
Oh, like the the technology type.
Yeah, like how people do like doctor visits on computer, but you can track everything through your phone. Cool. So it's like the thing on his phone will tell him when he might need to. Yeah,
that's cool.
So it continuously monitors my blood sugar. So like I don't have to prick my finger. Like, there's an app on my phone. I pull it up. It tells me what it is. Yep. And then the next thing, I wear something called the Omnipod. There are things called insulin pumps, and this technically isn't an insulin pump, but I basically put insulin into the Omnipod, and then I attach it to my body, and it just continuously provides insulin. This is one that I took off a few days ago, but it looks like this. And you can see there's like a little tube here. And when I put it on, like it basically gets injected into my body, and that's how insulin is delivered to me.
Okay, well that's definitely a lot of that's definitely a lot of progress. It's so funny. This might be like TMI, but who cares? But when we were young, I used to be like, Brandon, that doesn't scare you, like pricking yourself. I used to be like, oh, he just be squeezing the blood. I'm like, oh my god. He'd be like, I don't care. Like, but I just thought that was just so interesting. Like, wow. But do you have any, like, not even tips, but just there are so many different things people are going through when it comes to like stuff that they have to deal with for their whole lives, or just maybe stuff they're going through right now. But do you have any tips that maybe you learned to do over time that just like, or any encouragement to be able to like overcome, or just live with the fact that you just might have to be dealing with something for life? Like, how have you been able to kind of reason with yourself that might help other people, no matter like what it is? It doesn't have to be diabetes, but just in general. Yeah. I think that's not the easiest thing to do.
You know, because the way I manage my diabetes affects pretty much the rest of my body. I really had to learn, and you know, as Aunt D said, you know, discipline. It really is about discipline. Yeah. Just learning that, hey, like I have to be responsible to make sure that, you know, my diabetes is managed, but also, you know, that, you know, the rest of my body is in good health as well.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Some people, even though sometimes people get in a rut and don't even care about that. Yeah. Like they'll just be like, I know it's going to affect other parts of my body, but I just don't even care no more. So it still is good to know that you want to take ownership of your health in a way. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to just let things just happen to you. True. Oh, Kiana says, I can confirm that those needles gave me the heebie-jeebies. Facts. I agree. I used to be like, oh my goodness. But no, that was helpful. I feel like I learned so much from this, because sometimes you know that people, like, I always knew you had diabetes, but I never asked you any of these questions. I never took a second to think about how your life was or is and stuff. So I learned so much, like, in this conversation, really, because
I just think it's also very helpful because a lot of probably people of color's families, somebody in their family probably has diabetes. So getting to see another layer of, you know, that person in their family and maybe listening to this, I think that's very important too, just kind of learning more.
I think so too. I know we always like to also add this part in our episode called like the hashtag Go Cultivate. And it's basically like something we want to leave people with, whether it has to relate to the episode, but even if you got some tips, or I don't know if there's early signs, I don't know, just anything you got that has to, or something you want to educate us on, that's related to diabetes, or even type 1 specifically, whatever that you would like to share, we will give you the floor.
Absolutely. You know, I cannot advocate enough for, you know, just being healthy in general. You know, make sure you're eating, you know, leafy green vegetables, you know, your fiber, drinking plenty of water. In regards to type 1 diabetes, when I first got diagnosed, it was known as juvenile diabetes because, you know, it typically presented in children. However, over the course of the last, you know, 20 plus years, they've moved away from calling it that because there are a lot of people in their 20s that are getting diagnosed with it.
Oh, wow. And there's no source for that. It's just been happening, you think? It's just been happening.
Yeah. It's just been happening. You know, there are a lot more diabetics than, you know, you probably realize. Like, you know, I can always you know, spot people, like, because, you know, especially, you know, if they're wearing like a Dexcom or something, they're like, oh, cool, you know,
okay. No, that makes sense. That makes sense for sure. It's so true how your health is like, it connects every single part of you, like mentally, physically, everything. Like it's so connected. It's crazy. But
you gotta go cultivate.
Just in general, or like more about,
you know, just in general.
Let me think. Do you have one before I think?
Yeah, I got one.
Okay.
My go cultivate is just I want everybody to be more conscious about, you know, others' issues, because you just never know what someone's going through.
That's a good one.
Being more, you know, just self-conscious, and then other people conscious is just leading with kindness, you know.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think if I had to add one, I would say like not listen to your body, but like it's such an importance to being connected to your body. And what I mean by that, sometimes people are like just walking through the world and then they're like disconnected from their body. Like it's not even associated with who they are. I know for me, I try to the more I can listen to my body, the more I'll know when something's off, or if I'm not feeling well, or like, do I need to eat something different, or do I need to like go to the doctor, or do I need to like freshen myself, whatever it is. But when you're not connected, you're not listening to your body, you're missing all the cues that your body is giving you.
Yeah.
And that's something that I wish I knew earlier on, but now that I'm older, I pay so much more attention. You can't just have a headache for a week and like ignore it. You know what I mean? Like you need to pay attention to the things that are happening. So yeah, that's probably the one I would say. But
okay.
But thank you, Brandon, so much for
Absolutely
being on the podcast. We appreciate it. Thank you for dropping some nuggets. If you ever have any links or whatever you want us to share with people, just send it to us. We'll put them on our Instagrams and stuff like, or even awareness purposes, because we want everyone to feel like people are aware of the things that are happening in their own like silos of their world. So yeah, I mean, we love you always and we appreciate you for taking some time. But this has been yet another episode of Cultivating Conversations with DP Squared. We love y'all. Oh, next week we're gonna should we say the topic? Or should we?
I mean, we say next week. Episode 2 is coming.
Okay.
Another health class, another edition. So just be there. We learned a lot today. Hopefully y'all left with some, and next week y'all gonna leave with some again.
Facts. Okay. But we love y'all, and we will. Brandon, don't be going nowhere. We're gonna talk to you for a second. But we love y'all, and we will see y'all next week. Peace.
Thanks for joining. Peace.